Alright. It actually came out, so let's just talk about it. Kraven the Hunter. Yeah, Kraven the Hunter finally came out after being delayed multiple times, and it's here, and a lot of people are saying that it's one of the worst movies ever made. Do I agree with that? Not quite, no. But yeah, I know this review is going to come out like super duper late, so I'm not even sure if anybody's going to really be watching this. But, you know, let's be honest, nobody watched the movie. I mean, the box office will tell you that. So, you know, you can still watch this. I could tell you a bit. I'll try to keep it spoiler free in case you do decide to watch it. I doubt you will, but in case you do. But yeah. So, like I was saying earlier, people think that this is like one of the worst movies ever made. I do disagree with that. I personally walked out of the theater and thought, yeah, that movie was fine. Yeah, that's pretty much what my thought was after the movie. I got enjoyment out of it, but there's a lot of problems with it. So let's get out of the way what I liked, what I liked about it. So the best part about the film was the hard R violent action scenes. I thought those were a blast. Whenever they happened, it was a whole lot of fun. I mean, it's just fun seeing Aaron Taylor Johnson brutally R-rated murdering these bad guys in very interesting, clever ways. That was enjoyable. That was fun. Problem is, there wasn't quite enough of that for me, and we're not going to get into that yet. Like I mentioned, Aaron Taylor Johnson, great actor. He was a lot of fun to see in the movie. I think he did add to the film. I think it made it a bit better. If it was another actor, it might not have been as enjoyable as it was for me. So there was that, and also I've said this I think with every Sony spin-off movie without Spider-Man. This had so much potential, and it didn't quite meet it. I said the same thing about Morbius. I said the same thing about Madam Web. The same thing applies to Kraven, where there's a great idea there. There's a great idea, a great concept. We could have gotten 3 surprisingly great movies. And what do we get? Fine to bad. depending on who you ask. Like, me, I thought I honestly, I thought Morbius and this movie were fine. Madam Web, I feel to me it's equal, but it is also, when it comes to the enjoyment value, but it is a worse made movie, I think. So once again, this movie has so much potential. I mean, the idea, I know a lot of people, you say we're gonna make a movie on Kraven the Hunter. A lot of people are gonna roll their eyes like that's a stupid idea. They did it with Morbius, they did it with Madam Web. Me, I didn't. I thought that could be something interesting there. Kraven the Hunter, great, interesting villain from the Spider-Man comics. There could be something there. And especially if you're going R-rated, like they said, you can go all out with the violence in his hunts. No matter how you're doing the violence, and it can be done in many great ways, which, I mean, they did find a way to do pretty great violence in this movie. But, like, there's so much potential there for something awesome. Whether you want to tell us his origin, or you want to just tell a cool story with adult Kraven, now that he is a full hunter, where he's hunting down a list of people or a specific person, that could be fun. Would it be like one of the best movies ever made, or like an Oscar caliber film? Still no. I don't think it's. Even though I think it would have been great, better than what we got. It wouldn't have been like peak filmmaking, because I mean the plot would most likely still be kind of basic and simple. It ended up being that, but worse. That's okay, because some movies are just like that. A movie I love, John Wick, the another hard R action film. The plot's very basic. Bad guy kills John Wick's dog. John Wick hunts this guy down to get revenge, killing anybody in his way, and how's the movie end? He ends up killing that guy. That's pretty much the main plot of the first John Wick, and I love that movie. So, a simple plot's perfectly fine. But, they did a great job. So yeah, like I said, the hard R action film scenes in this movie, I had a blast with. Whenever they actually happened, I was having such a good time. In between those action scenes, however, there were good moments. There were moments I did like outside of the action scenes, but there was less of them. So I'm just going to go into what I was able to notice wasn't very good. First of all, this ain't Kraven. I know that's the name of the character, and that's the name of the movie. This ain't Kraven. No. I honestly think this movie could have been a bit better if they decided to make this something original without it being Kraven. I mean, not like a whole bunch better. Like, I think, like, when I think of... Because, oh my goodness, how do I explain this? Kraven... This version of Kraven is not a villain. They try to tell you he is. I mean, the tagline of the movie is, villains aren't born, they're made. Okay, when are we going to see a villain get made? I don't see one in this movie. Unless you're talking about Rhino, who is not very well developed either. I don't see... If you're talking about Kraven, when do we get to the part where Kraven's a villain? He's an anti-hero, yeah. Not a villain. Why? He only kills bad guys. He doesn't kill any good guys. To me, that doesn't sound like a villain. That's an anti-hero. That sounds like Red Hood. That sounds like all these other anti-heroes that you would think of. I mean, the Guardians of the Galaxy have killed a couple of bad guys. The Avengers have killed a couple of bad guys. And they're not even anti-heroes. They're considered heroes. So tell me when Kraven becomes the bad guy in this movie, because he doesn't. He only kills bad guys. He breaks the law. So does every superhero, like Spider-Man. He's breaking the law. He's a vigilante. He's a good guy. Kraven's never a villain in this. He's a hunter, not just of people, although he does hunt people. It's because he gets tired of hunting animals because he's just become too good at it, and it's no longer a challenge. It's no longer fair. So he moves on to people. When he eventually gets tired of people, because normal people, so he sees Spider-Man and thinks, would you look at that? That's a different kind of specimen to hunt and try to kill. This version of Kraven is this version of Kraven is, oh, you're a crime lord, or you're a part of this crime organization, or you kill animals, and but you're not being fair in the hunt. I'm gonna kill you. And that's not Kraven, man. Kraven doesn't act like this. So I think the idea of the character that we got with this hunter who hunts bad guys, that's a cool concept, but it's not Kraven. So again, this would have been a bit better if it... I guess the movie wouldn't be that much better, but I would be more on board with the character, our main character, if it wasn't Kraven and it was someone else. Oh, you know what recently did Kraven perfectly? Marvel's Spider-Man 2, the video game for PS5. Perfect Kraven the Hunter right there. We already saw it. Insomniac did it. Granted, I've loved everything Insomniac's done so far. I mean, they've been a bit weaker with Spider-Man 2 and stuff like that. Like, that's not as strong as the first. But, like, that was a great version of Kraven. That's Kraven the Hunter. If you're someone who doesn't know who Kraven the Hunter is, and you want to get introduced to him with a more modern piece of media, I'd say no. Don't watch Kraven the Hunter, the movie, to get to know who Kraven is. Play Marvel Spider-Man 2 to get to know who Kraven is. Granted, it is a longer commitment. To play through Marvel Spider-Man 2 would take longer than to watch this movie. But then again, depending on who you ask, it wouldn't feel that way. It would feel like watching the movie longer than playing the game. So, there's that. But yeah, this ain't Kraven. Sorry. Like I mentioned before, the story is very basic and simple, but yet but then again, it's also kind of like all over the place. Because the story starts out, Kraven's hunting down these guys on this list. Ooh, that sounds like it could be fun. But then that changes, and Rhino becomes the main villain, and Rhino's trying to kill Kraven before Kraven kills Rhino. That's kind of a change. That's very simple as well, but hey, that could be fun. And then it changes again because Rhino kidnaps his brother. I just realized this is kind of spoilery, but you didn't watch the movie, let's be honest, and you don't care. And that becomes a plot point, plus I'm not telling you how it ends, so, and that changes the plot of the movie. So there's the plot. It's both messy while also being like feeling very basic. I don't know how to explain it very well. Also, there is a flashback scene. They released the first 8 minutes of the movie on the internet, which I thought was a great 8 minutes. I really enjoyed it. And then after those 8 minutes, we get a way too long flashback that I think could have been done a bit better. They either could have shortened it, they could have sprinkled it in throughout the film, so like give us a bit of the flashback here, a flashback to the future. We spend some time in the future, then we flash back to the past again. Spend some time there, kind of like Arrow style. Like if you ever seen Arrow, I like the first couple of seasons of that show. Kind of like how they did it there, where you'd go back and forth throughout the film. They could have done that, or to be honest with you, they probably could have cut it from the movie completely if they really wanted to, because I feel like it didn't impact much. I mean, it showed us how he got his powers, but once again, Kraven doesn't have powers like this. Like, heck, a lot of times he doesn't even have powers. So, plus, I also didn't think the way he got his powers was very interesting either. Like, it was just kind of, why exactly is that how he's? Never mind, let's not talk about that. Let's keep going. There is some bad ADR in this movie, not nearly as bad as Madam Web. My gosh, I heard that there's bad ADR, and I didn't notice it until we got closer to the end. I noticed a couple here and there, unlike Madam Web, where it is so obvious that the villain never says a line of dialogue on camera. It's all ADR. This movie has some of it, but not nearly as bad. There's also some very choppy editing and pacing, where like things just feel like so. Oh, how do I even explain this? Like, there are times where it feels like we go from one thing to another thing so weirdly. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. The editing is very choppy, I thought, in this movie. Now let's talk about... Also, there are some changes to characters, like his brother Dimitri has it changed near the end of the film that kind of felt out of nowhere. Now let's talk about that R rating real quick. Because the R rating, while it did allow the action scenes to be super cool. Like, the action scenes were very hard R, they were very violent, and it was awesome. It really did make the action scenes even cooler. So I think the film did at the end of the day benefit from it. But to me, it's also one of those movies where it's like, it felt like it was rated R just so they could say, would you look at this, it's rated R, guys. It's different from our other ones. That's another reason you should go check this one out. Because you really only saw the violence, at least in my opinion, in the action scenes, which I feel like there weren't nearly enough of them. I feel like they're way too far apart. So, you know, if they wanted to, they could have just cut that back a bit to have it be PG-13. Heck, even the language, like, there were F-bombs, and like, there's more than one F-bomb, therefore, even if there was just 2 F-bombs, it would have to be rated R due to the rules of ratings. But there's so few of them that you could literally just cut them out and leave just 1 or none to help keep it PG-13. So it kind of felt like they only made it rated R, so that way they could be like, oh guys, you gotta check this one out, it's so different from the others because it's rated R. Yeah, I made the action scenes better, but did it really need to be rated R? I think they could have used the R rating a bit better. Like, if you're gonna make it rated R, use the R rating that way it can benefit the story. To me, they should have either leaned more into the R rating or made it PG-13, because it felt like they tried to go with the middle, and it just felt weird to me. Like either lean into R rating or cut back just enough to make it PG-13. So yeah, like I said, I really like the action scenes in this movie, but I feel like there was not enough of them. We should have had more. So yeah, it's kind of funny. I said I thought the movie was fine. It was all right. I don't think it's the worst, and yet I seem to have more negatives than positives to say about it. But yeah, I don't hate it. I wouldn't say it's not the worst movie I've ever seen. When it comes to the comic book movies, I think I've seen worse. I think there are definitely good people who disagree, and heck, I know people who would disagree about me not liking it as much. There are people out there who like it, even though there's very few of them. So, you know. But yeah, should you see this in the theater? Well, let's be honest, you didn't. Even though this is a late review, I do this every review. Oh, well, every spoiler-free review, and this was mostly spoiler-free. So I'm just gonna do it, even though I already know you didn't and you won't. But should you see it in theaters? I would say if you are a hardcore die-hard fan who's even seen every Sonyverse movie so far, then I would say, yeah, you might as well check out this one, especially because it's supposed to be like the last Sonyverse film for a long time, I guess. So you might as well check it out. However, but on streaming. I don't think you need to go see this in the theater. You can just wait for streaming for this one, if I'm being honest. And that's for you diehards like myself who will see everything connected to Spider-Man, because I'm one of the reasons why Sony keeps making these movies. You're welcome, for those of you who want this franchise to die. But so if you're like me, diehard, see everything, then yeah, check it out on streaming. If you are 18 or older or have a parent or guardian's permission, because it is still rated R. And even though it is on the tamer side when it comes to rated R movies, the brutal action does get pretty brutal, especially the last one. The last scene has at least 2 extremely brutal things that happen in it that, like, yeah, I'm not sure if a kid should be seeing that. So, you know. However, if you're not, and if you like the trailers, you might like the movie. Again, I know people who like the movie. They like the trailers. They like the movie. So, you know, if you like the trailers, I would say, again, check it out on streaming. However, if you weren't very interested in it, but you were deciding if you should still check it out, you don't have to. You could probably skip this one, if I'm being completely honest with you. If you're not a diehard, and if you didn't like and you weren't too into the trailers, go ahead and skip this one. But yeah. But for the few of you who did see the movie, I mean, you most likely either already did because you're already a diehard, or you didn't and won't because you don't care enough. But for those of you who did see it, what did you think? Did you love it? Even though very few people seem to. Did you hate it, which many people seem to? Or did you think it was okay, kind of like myself? I would love to hear all your thoughts down below. Love, hate, or think it's okay. Thanks for so much taking time to watch this video, especially because it is a very late review. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.